Hi, everybody. Welcome to the weekend edition of Proline. Dave Koken here, along with John Creighton from Jim Fife Sports. We're going to look at some baseball, and we're also going to break down Game 3 between the Mavericks and the Heat as they send ships to Dallas in the NBA championship, with the series now all tied at 1 game apiece. We'll get to that first up, but let's first also tell you about what we've got going on Saturday. A couple of big games. I've actually got two, and Jim has one, and Jim's is huge. It's NL Game of the Month is going on Saturday, John.
Even bigger than that, National League Game of the Year.
Game of the Year? Wow.
Yeah, Game of the Year. It's $25. It's online on this site. And on Wednesday, Jim released his underdog Game of the Year. That was on the Yankees at Oakland. They won that game easily, 10-3. So this Saturday, you can step up and continue the winning with Jim's National League Game of the Year.
Well, that's strong. There's only one Game of the Year in each league, so this is what you want to take advantage of. I have an under-the-hat parlay. It's my under-the-hat parlay of the month going on Saturday. Two games. They're both going on to the personal service as under-the-hat selections, and you can get them both for just $20 by going to ProlineTV.com. Also, you want to make sure and get my free plays over the weekend. In fact, get them every day. They're on tape on a toll-free number, 1-888-712-6800. That's 1-888-712-6800. You can also get both Jim's free plays and my free plays on text messages. Nothing could be easier than this. If you text WINNER, WINNER, WINNER to 313131, you'll get Jim's free play. If you text Koken, COKIN, to 313131, you get my free plays. You can get them both, obviously. Just send two texts, and within seconds you'll have back the day's free plays on your cell phone. Nothing could be easier than that. And again, Jim's NL Game of the Year going on Saturday, and I have the Under the Hat Parlay of the Month on Saturday as well, just $20 at ProLineTV.com. Well, let's actually start with the baseball game, since that goes on Saturday, and then we'll look at Miami and Dallas in their Sunday matchup. The Rangers and Indians matching up, and what the Rangers are doing, which is contending in the AL West, is certainly not a surprise, considering they went to the World Series last year. The Indians have been a huge surprise. This team was picked to contend for last place in the AL Central with Kansas City, but, it hasn't gone as well as expected for a couple of teams, like the Twins and White Sox, and certainly the Indians have done some really good work. Looks like they might be sticking around the race in that division.
They sure will, yeah. Nobody I knew of back in the spring training said this is a team to watch. A lot of youth and a lot of question marks on the pitching staff. What's been impressive about this team, look at the road record, 500 road record. That's actually not bad. Teams strive for something like that at home, an absolutely dominant start to the season, and there's tremendous balance on that team. They're number 7th in runs scored. They're 5th in on-base percentage. They're 7th in slugging. The pitching is unusual in that it's in the middle of the pack, 16th with a 3.85 ERA, but that's a little deceptive because the bullpen is really outstanding, and it's made up for some of the shortcomings with the young starting pitching staff. Now, it hasn't been a good 10 days for the Indians. They have been in a slump this week, and some of that pitching has been exposed as they're on a recent 6-2 run over the total. But one of the starting pitchers who does have some shortcomings will be going here on Saturday, and that's Fausto Carmona. You know, this guy back in 2007, 19-game winner. He turned out to be one of those one-year wonders that you see in baseball from time to time, not having a good start to this season. You look at the home road breakdowns on a guy like Carmona, terrible on the road, 1-4 record, 5.89 ERA. But at home, he's not really that much better. 2-2 record, 4.76 ERA. The only good thing about him is that on the road, teams hit 274 off of him, and at home, just 231. But still, that is a high ERA, and he's not been on a good run of late. 0-3 his last 3 starts, ERA over 10. So I will not be backing him this game, but I might be taking a look at the total in this one.
The thing with Carmona is his numbers are mildly misleading from this standpoint. He's very capable of pitching an outstanding game. He's also, when he's off, he is awful. So there's no in between with Carmona. He generally doesn't have these games where, he'll go 7 innings, give up 3 runs. He'll go 7 innings, give up 1 run, or no runs. He'll also go 7 innings, give up 8 runs. what it comes down to with Carmona is twofold. One, it's his control. If he's walking people, that's really bad because he's a pitch-to-contact guy. He's not a strikeout guy. He wants to get people to hit that really heavy sinker of his and hit it right down into the ground. If they're laying off it or if he's not getting it over, he gets in a world of trouble. When he's got command of that pitch, he's very, very good. There just doesn't seem to be any in between with Carmona, and that makes him, for me, one of the more difficult pitchers in the game to handicap. Because it's kind of tough to tell which day he's going to be good and which day he's not. I have a tendency to look for spots where I think he won't do as well. Here he's facing Derek Holland, the young lefty for the Rangers, who kind of seems to be settling in to what he's going to be. I don't think he's got a real high ceiling. On the other hand, he's not an end of the rotation guy. I think he's just, he's a guy who's going to be able to give you 5, 6, maybe 7 good innings. Okay innings, let me put it that way. Not an all-star. He just doesn't have that caliber of stuff. It's decent stuff. It's not world-beating stuff. He is just the prototypical middle rotation guy. And I think he's kind of arrived at that point now. He'll have some games where he gets unfortunate with fly balls and things like that and ends up getting blown up. He'll have other games where he'll go out there and he'll throw 95 pitches and he'll never really be comfortable with them. But you'll look up at the end of the game and he'll have 6 innings and, a couple of runs. And if he can do that with the Rangers, he's going to win. All right? This team can hit the baseball. They are an outstanding offensive club, especially now that they have Hamilton back. They've got Cruz back. This is a scary-looking lineup. There's just no weak spots here. Who's the weak? I mean, if Jorvi Torrealba's doing the catching, there's your weak spot. Well, that's one. That's pretty much it. There's not much else. Now, some of these guys haven't produced as much on the road this year. Ian Kinsler, for instance, has a really big split in his home numbers as opposed to his road numbers. But the bottom line of the Rangers, they're playing really good ball right now. Going into their Friday night game with the Indians, they've won 9 of the last 10, I believe it is, in this series. They've matched up well with this team, and I think you're starting to see Cleveland kind of regress to, an area that I think they're going to remain better than I thought they would be going into the season. But I don't think they're nearly as good as they showed for the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. Surviving at home, that's been their strength. They've been very good at home. 25-7 going back to the end of last year, actually, their last 32 home games. And they've taken advantage of the bad teams coming in. They've really beaten up on those. Texas does not qualify in that count. I would look Rangers here. Depends on the price to some extent. But if the Rangers are dogs, you might have a little bit of value there. Any other comments on the baseball game, John?
Yeah, this Texas team is fascinating because I remember, after the World Series and they lost Cliff Lee, some people kind of jumped off their bandwagon and they didn't really look at the fact that this team has a lot of young talent, exceptional balance. I mean, look at this offense, 7th in baseball in runs scored, and they just took over the top spot this week in steals in baseball.
Yeah.
Have a tremendous percentage, 281 steals with guys like Elvis Andrus and Ian Kinsler at 18 and 11 steals. But one concern with them is the home road breakdown. They're so built for this park down in Texas. Tremendous home record. Right now they do have a losing road mark, but I do like them in certain matchup situations. As you pointed out with this Cleveland team, they're on a recent hot run. And Derek Holland, he's your junk ball lefty. He's only 24 years old, so he could get better. And, you look at his record, 4-1, but boy, his ERA is high and the team is just 5-5 in his 10 starts. One thing I like, though, I like the balance that Texas have, and I like the fact that Holland has never faced these Indians before, so I would lean toward probably a high-scoring game, but I would also lean toward Texas in this one.
Yeah, one thing on Holland, by the way, he's had a little bad luck. He's pitched in a couple of games where the wind was just blowing dead out, and that happens. I mean, he had a game a couple weeks ago at home. It's 20 miles an hour, straight out. You give up a fly ball in that ballpark, in those conditions, it's going to leave the stadium. And, that'll skew a guy's numbers. So that's why sometimes you want to check out that FIP, those things that kind of balance off ballpark factors, and you get a little truer read. It doesn't mean that Holland's a world beater by any means, but I think he's slightly better than some of his numbers would indicate. Okay, let's look at the Dallas Miami game here is they seen shift to Big D, and we saw a great comeback in Game 2 by the Mavericks. I was very happy with that. I'll tell you a little funny story here. I didn't see the rally. I watched most of the game, and I had Dallas in the game. They're down, I think it was 88-77, and I was running late. I had to meet somebody for dinner, and it's like, well, okay, it looks like it's over. I'm going to jump in the shower and get ready to go out. So I come out and it's like, what the hell happened here? I was shocked. I shouldn't be, because we've seen a lot of fourth quarter flips, but I had Dallas in the game, so I was delighted with this turn of events. I really didn't expect it to happen. Well, in reviewing what did take place, Miami's got a lot of goat horns to pass out here. LeBron gets him. Dwayne Wade gets him. Bosh gets him. And most of all, Eric Spoelstra gets him. Eric Spoelstra didn't coach this game very well down the stretch for Miami. I know he used his timeouts, but he kind of needed to use them, but you got to save one. You got to save one for the end of the game. It's not like you're sitting in the dugout or on the sidelines with 80,000 people yelling in a football stadium. You're only a few feet away from the players. You can yell out instructions. It's legal, okay? You've got to save one of those timeouts. In the end of the game, before we get to the end of the game, first, Miami, just shoot it. Why did they turn into a jump shooting team? You know what? I think what happened here is Wade hits that three-pointer from the corner to put him up 15, and he does that, and I saw that, and he does that pose thing, I'm cool. Play the damn game, will you? I think they got into hero mode at that point and started looking to get the highlights on SportsCenter, which can happen. And I think Spoelstra did try and say, hey, come on, we're going to still play the game, but they didn't. But the end of the game is where Spoelstra makes the critical error in two ways. Number one is get Chris Bosh on Nowitzki on the big play at the end of the game. There's no way you have Bosh on Nowitzki. He doesn't have the lateral movement to stay with him. I personally would put LeBron on him. That he's your best defender. But if you don't want to, you got Joel Anthony. Joel Anthony can play defense, and he'll front him at least and make him take a fadeaway. Instead, Nowitzki just puts this little feint on Bosh. Bosh was boom, he's gone. But why didn't they foul? You've got a foul to give. Everybody takes that foul in the NBA. You wait for the guy to make his first move, you foul him before he can get into a shooting mode. Now you probably going to have, maybe 6 seconds left? Well, it's a lot tougher to run a play with 6 seconds left. This was really, I can't, it's unfathomable to me how Miami screwed this up at the end of the game. This game is tied at this point because that was after Chalmers had hit that great three-point shot for Miami to put him in a position to at least get to overtime. That's a really bad job by Spoelstra in determining who was supposed to be on Nowitzki and executing the end game strategy. That's on Spoelstra, not on the players. The players had a lot to do with blowing the lead, but the coach has got to do a better job at the end of the game. Rick Carlisle outcoached Eric Spoelstra in this game, and Dallas now has, to me, momentum, and they're tied at one game apiece, and Miami's got their work cut out for them. That said, well, I'll let you comment first on what happened, John, and then we'll look ahead to what I think is going to happen in Game 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of matchups in this series that are relatively even, but the real thing that I'm looking at for Game 3 is the psychological aspect of these two teams. I mean, with Dallas, you don't really have to worry about that too much. This is a veteran team. All their core guys are in their 30s, and they've already been through a roller coaster in this postseason. I mean, if you remember that game at Portland where they should have won the game and they absolutely blew it, lost 84-82. Well, the very next game, they came back and won and covered as a 5-point favorite, 93-82. And then later they lost a home game to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That was Game 2. That was a surprise. Didn't faze them. The next game they came back as an underdog in Game 3 at Oklahoma City, won that game straight up 93-87. So this is a team that you know is confident because the veterans are there. And when they play games where things fall apart at the end, we've seen the resiliency of this team. They come back. The question, though, is Miami. This is a much younger team than Dallas. You look at the two guys who are the stars, two of the three stars here. Chris Bosh is 27 years old. He's new to all this postseason stuff. LeBron, 26 years old. He has seen it, but he still has that pressure on him to deliver a ring. And I wonder about that. And this is a Miami team that really has had everything going their way in the postseason. A lot of close games up until the last game, and they've been sensational. They closed out the games. They had some great heroic comebacks. They've made all the big shots at the buzzer until that game the other night. And the thing with the Heat, they can't start thinking right now, we're going to play 3 straight games on the road. They have to take it one quarter at a time. And the final 7 minutes of that game, too, was an absolute disaster. Like you pointed out, the players were celebrating. They were high-fiving. They knew they had that game won, and they just lost focus. And I also blame the coach for not getting them to be more focused in that final 7 minutes. The 3-point shooting that they took was absolutely outrageous. Everybody's bombing away trying to be a hero to make the Sports Center highlights, and instead they blow a game that they should have won. So I think the matchups are relatively even for the next couple of games, but the real key that I'm going to be focused on is the psychological part of this game 3. Is Miami going to be nervous? Are they going to start making turnovers? Are they going to shake up at the clutch? Because we haven't seen them at all in this situation this entire postseason.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of how does Miami react as opposed to what is a very veteran team in Dallas. And that's not to say that Miami. See, I think Dwayne Wade is the guy that steps forward here for Miami because he is a true championship veteran. He's got one of those rings already. He is an NBA champion. And I think as much as LeBron is the guy, and he's the best player, I have a feeling this is where Wade really steps forward and says, okay, look, I'm going to display the leadership. I know what it takes to win games at this level, and I think he's going to do well here. Now, this is where the unfairness to me of this format steps forward. I think the 2-3-2, we mentioned this in our conversation the other day, I think this is a disadvantage to Dallas, because even though Dallas just won this game in Miami to take quote-unquote home court advantage, if they don't win all 3 home games and close it out here, they don't have a home court advantage anymore. Game 6 and Game 7 are back in Miami. I think it's completely unfair, and I don't. I think this definitely favors Miami because Miami's got to look. You know, they're sitting at practice today and saying, you know what, we blew it. This isn't that big a deal, though. Well, all we got to do is get 1 game out of the 3 in Dallas, and we're back on top again. We're going to get to go home and close it out on our home court. And I really do think that's the way this series will unfold. I think Miami's going to win one of these 3 games and get back to Miami, and ultimately it'll end up just the way I said it would, which is Miami at 7. So the question is which game. I don't know that it's going to be this game. My strategy here will probably be to play Miami, but not for much. This will be a week. That's why I'm going to give it out here on this edition of Proline. It will not be a big play for me on the service. It will not be a big play for me personally. I'm going to take Miami because my strategy here is that Miami's going to get a game in Dallas. I would be very surprised if they get swept in the next 3 games and don't win a game. So I know, I'm not a big fan of progressive betting, but that's kind of what I intend to do here. The bad news is it can end at 3 games because if they lose all 3 games, that's it. The season's over and I'll have lost. And I'm not going to go single, double, triple as far as the wagers are concerned because I just don't believe in that principle. But I will tell you that I'll make the small play here in Miami, and if I don't get it in Game 3, I'll play them bigger in Game 4. I think Miami will win one of the next 2 games. If they lose the next 2 games and it gets down to Game 5 and they're down 3-1, they may not win a game. I wouldn't be out. That's why I would not recommend the progressive bet here. I think Miami will win one of these games, but I think it's going to be either Game 3 or Game 4. My gut feeling is it's going to be Game 4. but I'm going to take Miami plus the points in Game 3. I do think it's going to be a very close game again. We've seen it in the first two games. Neither team is going to dominate here. Okay? There are going to be stretches where one team dominates, but these teams are really close, and you're going to get close games. The first game, which was an 8-point final, it wasn't an 8-point game. Okay? It was a lot closer than that. And we saw the second game, obviously, it's a 2-point game. And, yeah, we gave you the reasons. Miami kind of coughed it up at the end. But the bottom line is it was a 2-point game where it went down to the last possession. So, to me, you're getting points. You take the points in this series. That's going to be the flow. I'm taking Miami small in Game 3. John?
Yeah, Miami, despite what happened in that last game, they really should feel good about themselves because they have been very much in command of so many aspects of the games outside of that last 7 minutes in Game 2. I mean, their defense has been exceptional. It's been pretty much a slower tempo game, which they like. This is a team that has been not good on the road this season, but great if you throw in the postseason. Miami's 32-16 straight up on the road, 28-19-1. And you look at Game 1, Dallas went to that zone, and Miami bombed away from three-point land, which some people thought might be a weakness. They were terrific, 11 of 23 from long range. And even in Game 2, they were shooting over 50% just about all game until that collapse late. And when Dallas tried to run in Game 2, which I thought they should have done more, I really didn't work out for Dallas that much. They were turning the ball over. Miami was getting breakaway dunks. They got a record 31 points off the turnovers in Game 2. So there's a lot that Miami has in their favor, including Dwayne Wade. I mean, nobody has been able to guard Dallas in this series. And if you look at the road teams, when these teams meet, road team has been sensational. 28-1 against the spread the last 29 meetings. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dallas give the up-tempo game a go one more time in Game 3 simply because they're at home. So I'm going to lean toward the over in Game number 3. Another reason is when the Miami Heat are a road underdog like they are here between a half a point and 5 points, they are 10-4 over the total. So I'm going to look at a little bit of an up-tempo game.
I like that. I think that makes sense, John. All right. Those are some leans for you. We want you to get on the best games we've got this weekend, though. And, you know, I think this is an outstanding parlay. These are both under-the-hat plays that I'm giving out to all my personal service players. And you can get both games for only $20. These are two Saturday baseball games. Make sure to go to ProlineTV.com. I don't know really what I'm doing on Sunday yet, but we'll have something good, hopefully. And that will also be at ProlineTV.com. And, again, it's just $20 for that under-the-hat parlay of the month. John, Jim's got – this is a really big game. This is Jim's National League Game of the Year.
Yeah,
and it is online. That's strong.
That's right. That goes online for $25 on Saturday as National League Game of the Year. On Wednesday, Jim releases Underdog Game of the Year. That was an easy winner on the Yankees, 10-3. So if you missed that Game of the Year bandwagon, you have another chance on Saturday, Jim's National League Game of the Year. All
right. That's going to do it for us. We'll come back on Monday and kind of review what took place in Game 3 and over the weekend of the Diamond and keep looking ahead. That's the beauty of sports and sports wagering is that when one day ends, you just start moving on to the next day and go from there. It's a lot of fun, and the way we do it, profitable as well. For John Creighton and for Jim Feist, I'm Dave Koch. Enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we will talk to you on Monday.